Past the hills and rivers wide, where wildflowers freely bloom. In this land with skies so open, where can our children play? In cities bustling bright and loud, cars and lights that never sleep, do they find a piece of sky? Where can our children play? Bring them fields of green and gold, let their laughter echo clear. In a world so tightly wound, where can our children play? Mountains whisper ancient tales, forests sing in harmony. Will these wonders slip away? Where can our children play? Beyond the screens and towers tall, where dreams once were born and bred, do they carve new paths of joy? Where can our children play? Let's be stewards of this earth, guard the spaces wide and free. Do they find a piece of sky? Where can our children play? Fields of green and gold, let their laughter echo clear. In a world so tightly wound, where can our children play? Bring them fields of green and gold, let their laughter echo clear. In a world so tightly wound, where can our children play?
All righty, everyone. We're going to get started. Today is Thursday, October 9th, and I'm super excited for this podcast because I will be interviewing a colleague, but mostly a really good friend. Maria Arancillo is a holistic health and mindset coach, as well as a speaker who specializes in detox, gut health, and nutrition. Mia is a registered nurse with well over 25 years of experience. She has a master's in nursing administration and a master's in business administration. She, again, is a colleague and a dear friend. Mia focuses on getting to the true root cause, environmental stress and toxins, so that her clients can discover the true path to root cause opposed to putting a band-aid on a symptom. She has literally helped hundreds of clients shift their mindset and take control over their health so that they can have more energy, less stress, and live their healthiest, best life. So I'd like to introduce you to my good friend and colleague, Mia Arancillo. Hello, Mia. How
Hi,
are you?
Laurie.
How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for that introduction.
Oh, well, it's
Appreciate
my
being here.
pleasure. No. Actually, I'm broadcasting live tonight from Naples, Florida, and it's a little rainy and cloudy. So it looks pretty sunny where you are there in sunny Chicago. But let's go ahead and get started. I know we have a lot to unpack.
Yeah.
You and I particularly can go on and on and on about toxins and gut health, but I know that you've got something important that you want to share with your audience as well as my audience, and I'm really looking forward to your upcoming class. But let's unpack this a little bit and just go straight to the first question.
Awesome.
So, first question, Mia. So, when you talk about toxins with your clients, how do you define them?
Well, Laurie, I really look at toxins as any harmful substance in the body and in our cells and in our minds. So, most of us, when we think about a toxin, we think about something from the environment, which is true. the chemicals, the heavy metals, the mold, even the radiation. But what most people fail to look at toxins is that we can actually get toxins internally. What do I mean by that? In our gut, when there's an imbalance in our gut, and actually, most importantly, in our mind, in our thinking.
Yeah, and I bet you know what? A lot of people don't think that if you have toxic thoughts, it could also harm and injure the body. But so let's break down some of the toxins a little bit further. I mean, I think you and I can both agree that we know that food and water is pretty much a main culprit. You know, the herbicides and the pesticides that the farmers are spraying, and then they go to market and people are consuming. So going back to the toxin question, when you're coaching with your clients, what are just what are some of the key things that you're talking to them about being able to drink clean water and have cleaner foods? Because not everyone can afford to buy organic food. So how do you work your way around that in the world that we're living in right now with everybody working, 1, 2 jobs, working late into the evenings. They can't necessarily afford to buy, everything organic. Where do you go with that?
Well, so I have this model, Lori, of like good, better, best. And again, this boils down to mindset. It's not about being perfect, but it's about making the best choices, like with our level of awareness that we can, and doing just the absolute best job that we can. We can't live in a bubble. We're all going to be exposed to toxins every single day. It's about getting rid of the
Right.
toxins and getting rid of the exposure that we have with them. So some very simple things that, I try to bring awareness to my clients and people in general is, what is your environment like? The places that you spend the most time, your home, your work. Is there toxic mold that you might not even be aware of? That was certainly my story, that I didn't even realize it was in my home. And here's me doing what I do here. And all of a sudden, I am dealing with this mold that I wasn't even aware of. So really, that's one of the major ways, is to take a look at your environment. Take a look at, the things that we're using just every day of our beauty products, simple things like that. And obviously, of course, the big emphasis is always food and water and things of that nature. So if you can get your water filtered, okay, great. If you can have reverse osmosis, carbon filtered water, even better. It's just kind of a model of good, better, best. But if the best thing that you could do is actually just, buy, it's not the best thing, but, if you get water from not the sink, but like maybe uh, filtered water, it's better than just drinking regular water there. And
Right, like a Brita filter is
yeah,
inexpensive,
definitely.
or, a lot of the grocery stores now, Natural Grocers out by us, Whole Foods out by you, Sprouts and things like that. They actually have water dispensers that have got really clean water where you
Yeah,
can bring in your own jug. We prefer glass and not plastic, but, there are some good BPA free, so even trying to do stuff like that, it doesn't have to be super expensive. Not everybody can afford like a reverse osmosis.
right.
Um, so it, kind of, the food for thought, a Brita filter is better than just drinking straight water out of the
Exactly.
tap.
Exactly.
I actually want to ask you a question. So I really want to make a comment and then follow it up with the question.
Yeah.
So even people like you and I, holistic health coaches, holistic mindset coaches, even ourselves, we are impacted by the toxin burden load. I often say the chemical rape that's happening in our environment. But even people like you, I mean, like you said, you recently discovered some mold in your condo.
Yes.
And so just because we are out here doing the work and educating on what steps should be done, it doesn't necessarily mean that we are 100% perfect, or our living environments or our working environments are 100% perfect, because we, again, ourselves, just like you did with the mold in your condo and being exposed to glyphosate it's really hard to do that. And I think it's really important because so many people look at what you and I do and they think, oh my gosh, their lives are perfect. But, really, our lives are not perfect because we happen to face the same burdens as everybody else. So, as we start getting deeper into this podcast, I really want our listeners to understand that we take extra steps. And that's why we like to educate about the extra steps because we already know how toxin burdens can harm our body. But next question, Mia, how do toxins and the inability to lose weight impact our body? Even if someone is struggling with 5 pounds or 10 pounds that they haven't been able to lose over the last 6 months or a year or 2 years, how does it impact our body?
Lori, this is a common problem that a lot of my clients come to me for, that they say, oh, Mia, oh, you specialize in detox, gut health, and nutrition. Oh, you can help me lose weight. How do I lose weight? But here again, Lori, this goes back to really the mindset. This is a key takeaway that I want people to really understand. If there's anything that they take from this talk that we had today, is that toxins are something that we just cannot avoid. And so toxins are accumulated in our fatty adipose tissue, and we usually can eliminate them. And but right now we're overwhelmed with so many toxins here. And so what people try to do is lose weight without getting rid of toxins. But since toxins are in fatty adipose tissue, what happens is, Lori, is that if you have more fat, that means you have more toxins. If you have more toxins, it means you have more fat. So people do the reverse thinking, that they're like, oh, let me get rid of this fat, but completely ignore that the reason why they probably have that fat, that, like, most people are going to love hearing this, is not necessarily their fault because of supposedly what they're eating wrong or not doing right. It's the toxins that they weren't aware of, that they were accumulating, they can't get rid of. So in order to properly lose weight, first, you have to get rid of the toxins, and in turn, the fat will be gone and the weight will be gone, not vice versa. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it is. And again, going back to the toxins, it could be heavy metals, it could be Roundup, it could be
Right.
glyphosate, 2,4-D, all the herbicides. Um, a lot of those toxins actually come in from, some of the conventional foods that we are eating. And, their farmers are growing more with genetically modified organism seeds. GMO is what they call them, where those seeds themselves have been grown to repel the herbicides like glyphosate, and which is the active ingredient in Roundup, so that these farmers can spray these poisons and it won't harm the seeds that they're producing, the grains and the corn. But in reality, we know that what ends up happening with glyphosate and why we see, even like things like the bees, is that it harms our intestinal tract. It harms the intestinal tract of the insects. And basically, what it does is it pokes holes in the gut, and then for those insects that are feeding off of the corn or the wheat that these farmers are using poison on, it's impacting their gut, and those insects, those bugs end up dying. So if it has the capability of impacting insects and then we're eating these conventional foods, what does it do to our gut? I always like to tell my clients that I'm working with is what is really on the end of your fork matters. If you could
Yeah.
turn your body inside out, and let's just say you have a piece of pizza. Everybody loves pizza, but there are healthy alternatives to pizza, and that you're eating them, and you can think of the damage that it's doing down that digestive tract. And 80% of the immune system is in the digestive tract. But if you could think about that, what type of autoimmune issues can be prevented by one, having the mindset, which is what you talk about, knowing and understanding how food and water impacts our body, we could probably more than likely have less disease in this world. And that's my opinion. But I see it not only in myself, but you and I talk about it all the time.
And if I could interject, just so that it drives home the message for everybody, Laurie, is I want people to understand that toxins, when they come in, they've got to come out. Because basically, we are able to eliminate these toxins by, okay, nurse Mia terms, peeing and pooing, right?
Right.
And our body has natural detox organs like our kidney, our liver, our skin to detox the stuff out. But what's happening now is that inflammation started off as an acute inflammation, and it's growing into chronic inflammation. And that's when we get to disease, because we start bioaccumulating it, meaning the bucket is full, it builds up. So you just got to empty it out. You got to get rid of it. But the problem is that we have so many toxins now, and our toxic burden is so high, and we don't even understand. Like, again, you've stated different places where we're getting it, where we don't even realize the sources here. There's no way to count and measure all of that there. We want to just make sure we get rid of those toxins in, toxins out. We got to detox them. So there's different ways to support our pathways so that our body can function the way that it was made to, but not in how it's been here. So now we really need that extra added support of lifestyle, our mindset, and then we'll understand, once you get rid of those toxins, everything else just kind of falls into place.
Okay. That's a perfect, you just said something that's actually going to lead into this next question. You talk about the being able to eliminate by urination and pooping.
Yeah.
Most doctors don't even really talk about pooping. And so there are so many people that think if they're just having stool movements a couple of times a week, that's healthy. But you know what? In all reality, you should be having like the stool movements a couple of times a day, which it because you want to eliminate it. But that leads us into the question. So, what is the difference between, explain again the difference between root cause and how someone like you with the holistic mindset
Mhm.
operates and works versus the conventional medicine root cause, which is really just putting a band-aid on a symptom.
Yeah, great question, Lori. So when I talk about root cause, I'm talking about root causes, environmental stresses and toxins as the root cause to diseases and all ill health that we have here. So again, what are those toxins? Chemicals, herbicides, heavy metals, mold, radiation, right? Okay. So root cause is asking a question, why? What is the cause? Why did I get this disease? What is the source of why I have cancer, or why I have this specific illness, or why do I have these specific symptoms? When you look at the root cause, you just learn to ask a very important question, and that's why. If you ask why, ask and seek and knock, and you will find the answer, right? Okay. So
Right.
what happens though in conventional medicine, and this is not me knocking it. I've been a nurse over 25 years. There's a lot of very good things that conventional medicine is able to do. But one thing they are not good at, Lori, is looking at the root cause, because they focus more on treatment and curing versus preventing and asking why. So they have a tendency to kind of, like you said it yourself, it's a band-aid solution. It's a quick fix. Oh, let me give you the medication. Let me give you, let's have surgery. But we didn't even discuss, oh, well, did I maybe get the cancer because I had the headset to my ears longer and I don't understand? I'm only in my 50s, but all of a sudden, I don't do anything. I eat pretty healthy. I live a certain lifestyle. We're not asking these questions,
Right.
getting to the root cause, versus just like, oh, okay, well, you have this tumor, let's get rid of it. We automatically want to immediately fix it without, again, thinking what caused it.
Right. And I don't think, doing surgery to cut out the organs when the organ is sick is the answer. I mean, you even take a look at the gallbladder. How many gallbladder surgeries
Yeah.
are there? And they never really get to, okay, well, let's take a look at the root cause. How about if we remove processed foods and fatty foods for 30 days And then you come back and let's see how that gallbladder is doing, opposed to, you know what, let's just remove your organ. But I'm going to ask you a question. I'm going to kind of put you on the spot. I don't know if you're going to be
Sure.
able to answer this or not,
Well, let's
but,
go.
being a hospice nurse, being in
Yes.
hospice, it's really kind of all about medication, especially if somebody sees an infection. I'm assuming as a hospice nurse, you can't really dive into, you know, let's take a look at what we can do to cure a bed sore, opposed to let's give you an antibiotic to see if this takes care of it. And I'm sure you probably see a lot of that being a hospice nurse, where there's actually things that people can do, alternative medicines that they can do, opposed to let's give you an antibiotic, which we all know it harms the gut. But can you make any comments as like a hospice nurse? I guess your hands are sort of tied
Uh-huh.
when it comes to treating patients. I don't even know if you can talk about that without getting in trouble.
Well, I could actually just share like a specific example because you actually brought up the antibiotic. And it's safe for me to share this little story here that, this is really about mindset and the people that you do work with, the team you work with. I worked with an excellent medical director. I had a specific patient had those bed sores. We could not treat it multiple times, antibiotics, medications again and again, just constantly just getting wet, just changing that diaper again and again. And I finally just asked my medical director, can we try something that is a non toxic formulation that I have that's EPA certified, it's organic? Can I just try this spray? He said, yeah, go ahead, go for it, Mia. He already knows I had my practice. So we tried the non-conventional of preventing it. Guess what? That sore is gone. So again,
Um,
Lori, it's not to say like it really is. Everything is individualized healthcare, and that's what we've gotten away from because
right.
we put everything in a box that it's like I'm going to automatically do this protocol. I'm going to treat them this way, this way. But when you start to treat a person on a more holistic level and you don't even look at just the little parts and you look at the whole person, then you can really address it. So again, not all practices are the same. Even in hospice, the tendency, yes, we do use some medications, but very minimal. But at those times, we actually want to preserve the dignity of the patient. We want them to heal more naturally. And we actually remove a lot of those medications. And guess what? Some of them actually live on hospice longer. Some people think that hospice is just, oh, they're going to pass away in a few days or a few months or whatever. And I've had hospice patients before in the past that have been there much longer because guess what? We're addressing what actually caused the problem. It might not even have been the gut issue. It might have been actually the home that they were living in had that toxic mold or had that chemical. They got rid of it. And guess what? They're getting better. So that's
Wow.
really what it's about.
Okay. Well, thanks for sharing that. Leads us into the next question. How does mindset impact someone's ability um, to kind of think of different ways of healing themselves, or even the ability to shift their mindset to lose the extra pounds that they've been struggling with?
So, Lori, mindset is really everything to health and to life as I see it, is because, have you ever heard that quote? Like, you can't go anywhere. Like, if like mindset, your attitude is like a flat tire. You can't go anywhere if it's flat, it's not working. It's like the same way. You have to fix what's not working, the thinking, the mindset, the attitude before you get a result. So what winds up usually happening is that people try to change a behavior without understanding like what their belief is. So in my practice, I have three core principles that I abide by that are my mindset principles. Awareness. This is the thing that we're doing right now. We're making people aware of the toxins. Belief, that's driving the behavior, why they're doing something, and then the intentions that they take based on that belief. So if somebody believes that they can't get well, no matter what they do, even if they're eating perfect, they're doing all the right things. If they really believe they're not going to get well, there's a mindset, there's an emotional component to our body. We're not just a physical being. we're also an emotional being. So it takes and absorbs all that in. So that belief that you have, if it's a limiting belief, it'll drive your behavior. So we really have to look at more foundationally there. What's your belief behind the result that you want to achieve? And then you'll take the action. You don't have to worry about motivation then, because it's the mindset that's driving it. So,
Okay. That's a good answer. Before I go into talking about the types of 5 different brain types associated with being overweight, and Leighton, you can bring up the 5, the impulsive, sad, and anxious. So, when we talk about the mindset, Mia,
mhm,
and I'm just going to make this comment that someone is struggling with losing, we'll say 10 pounds. And there's a lot of people out there that might have 20, 25 pounds, but they go into their conventional medicine doctor, and what's being done? Well, we see, oh, maybe you've got anxiety. Here's an SSRI. You've got the depression. Let's, put you on this antidepressant. Or how about let's give you Ozempic, which right now there are so many lawsuits dealing with Ozempic. And Ozempic just is not the answer, because it's not root cause. It's big pharma getting rich at the person, at harming their immune system. So most doctors aren't talking about, hey, there are different types of brains that talk about problems why they can't lose weight, known as maybe obesity. I don't necessarily like to use the word obesity, but being a Dr. Amen brain certified health coach, we know that the chemicals known as the neurotransmitters in our brain have something to do with it. A typical person who has ADD may have an impulsive overeating problem.
mhm, mhm.
A person who may have low serotonin, and I won't get into the technical terms of the brain, but somebody who has low serotonin may have compulsive overeating. And Leighton, if you could bring up the next brain spec that shows, I just want to kind of talk about it, because the brain is a powerful thing. And you know that because you teach about the mindset. But when you have low chemicals in your brain due to genetics, or maybe you're just not eating enough protein, you take a look at a compulsive overeater, and a compulsive overeater really sees the food
Mhm.
and they just go after it. They're stuck on the thought of food.
Yeah.
So they can see a hamburger, they can see a French fry, they can see an ice cream cone, they can do this, and they see it and they have to have it. But in this type of in this type of brain, compulsive overeating, I mean, it also affects people that are compulsive drinkers, impulsive addicts, compulsive gamblers. I
Mhm.
mean, even people who surf porn. It's the compulsivity because they have these low chemicals, which
Right.
conventional medicine doesn't talk about. And we're going to talk about that on your one, not coming up on the class that you're going to talk about, but we are going to talk about this because I do feel that if people are low in these neurotransmitters, these chemicals in the brain, by either they're eating the right types or wrong types of food, they're drinking toxic water,
Yeah.
uh, eating toxic foods. It could be killing off the neurotransmitters in the gut and in the
That's
brain, because 95% of our feel good neurotransmitter, that chemical in our brain, that serotonin that makes us feel good and keeps our thoughts going, 95% of that is made in the gut. And
yes.
if our gut is broke, our brain is broke, which brings us back to you always educating your clients about the mindset as well as eating healthy. It doesn't always have to be organic, although we do like organic, but that's where like the Clean 15 on environmentalworkinggroup.org comes in. If you can't afford to eat organic, then buy something conventional on the Clean 15 or at least non-GMO. Um, but as we start to wrap up, I want you to just kind of wrap up and give us a recap. Um, Talk a little bit about your upcoming class, and then we'll talk about how our listeners can find you.
Okay, so first of all, they can find me on miaarancillo.com.
Can you spell that?
MIAARANC like cat, ILLO,
Okay.
miaarancillo.com. And thank you. The QR code is over there. You guys, just feel free, if you're viewing this on live stream, you can just scan it. You'll get my contact information. Just connect with me on social media, send me a message, email me.
Facebook. How do they find you on
Facebook,
Facebook?
just Mia Arancillo, just my name. On all
Okay.
social handles, Mia Arancillo, Instagram, Mia Arancillo. And then on my YouTube channel, it's Detox Diva Mia.
Okay. So Detox Diva Mia.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about your upcoming class. I'm super excited. I'm
Yeah.
super excited to get like my listeners on my side over to watching what is going to be happening.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for talking about that. I'm super excited to share that with everyone today. That's actually my free special treat that I have for everybody that's listening today, or if you're restreaming this or later on, feel free, you can take advantage of this. I have a 5-day free challenge. It's called the Mind Body Challenge. And this is actually where we're going to bring the awareness of those stress and toxins, gut health. We're going to address sleeping. We're going to address lifestyle stuff, stress, and so on and so forth, there to really just get a taste and feel of like, what's the missing link that might have been happening, why we weren't able to get those results that we wanted in our weight loss and also in our overall health. So this is like a good like sampler taste and feel of just shifting your mind and shifting your body and then shifting your results in as little as 5 days. If you are focusing on the right things and you take the intentional actions and you really truly believe that you can do it, then I believe in you too. So I'm excited. I hope that you guys like log on to there, and they're going to go ahead and I'll provide the link for you guys in the show notes, and they can just opt into the challenge. It's going to be amazing. We're going to have a ton of fun, and we're going to learn a lot of stuff along the way.
Okay. And then so are they connecting with you during this 5-day period?
Yeah.
How much time do they have to put aside in order to learn from you?
It's all going to be on Facebook. So it's going to be a Facebook group. When you sign up on there, it'll bring you towards everything. You'll get the email, you get all the detailed instructions. We're going to start on October 20th, Monday. It's going to be 5 days. It's going to be very quick. I always encourage people, spend as much time as you feel like you need. Obviously, the effort you put in is what you're going to get out. Engage in the group. I'm going to be in there every single day, and I'm going to give you guys some tips. We're going to talk about a specific thing, but it's going to be quick, easy, simple things that we can do to just change one thing in our lives and just maybe shift the thinking a little bit, and then it'll bring you to the result that you want to get. It's quick and easy. I know everybody has busy lives, and so I really just want to help you guys, those high achievers that I know are listening on here, to really prioritize your self-care and make this a lifestyle, because that's when we see lasting changes. So it's shifting the body, shifting the mind.
Okay. And you said this upcoming class is free. I just want to put that out there.
Yes.
That's awesome. Well, I look forward to that. Mia, as we wrap up, thank you so much. What's one final word you would like to say to the listeners?
Wow, I actually haven't even thought about that. You know, wow, I can't believe I'm actually stumped about that.
Well, how about that anybody who is willing to do
Yeah.
it, they can achieve it
Yeah, and
if they have the right mindset.
yeah, actually, you brought up that I had to think about that for a second. You threw me off there for a minute. I actually this is the message that I actually want to share with your listeners and pretty much the world. The most important investment that you should make is in yourself. You have to prioritize you. as a society that's really busy, that we want to do more, be more, and have more. We can't have that if we're first not well. So take care of you. The results will follow, and really prioritize you, because when you become the best version of you in mind, body, and soul, and you focus on progress, not perfection, everyone around you is going to benefit. So don't think you're doing a disservice because you're too busy, taking care of yourself, and you can't take care of your kids, you can't take care of your husband. They can take care of themselves. They're all adults too. Take care of you, prioritize you, everything else will follow.
Great. That's a good wrap up. Well, thanks for joining me today, and I look forward to your upcoming class.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Laurie. Enjoyed
All right.
myself. Thanks, guys.
Ciao, ciao.
Take care. God
Bye.
bless.
Bring them fields of green and gold, let their laughter echo clear. In a world so tightly wound, where can our children play? Bring them fields of green and gold, let their laughter echo clear. In a world so tightly wound, where can our children play?